Hey, DNVR and D-Line Co. I saw your cutesy little animation. Don't blame us for your vibe problems.
Happy the NBA is here! Officially! We made it!
Thank God.
Basketball, yeah!
No more off-season. Basketball is back. Yes, we do have to wait one more night to see the PHNX Suns in action, but that's okay. We're still here. We made it. The week is finally upon us. Oh my goodness gracious, you guys. How exciting. What a time to be alive.
It should be a national holiday
Agreed.
when basketball starts.
Yes.
Except for us because we're paid to talk about it.
That's right.
But everybody else should get the day off. Kids should be at home, rocking their jerseys, getting ready to watch basketball. It is beautiful. I am so happy that we are back to actual ball. Yes, Frank Kaminsky is gone. No more Kaminsky Cove. But we got plenty to be excited about.
Yeah.
We do.
The NBA is finally back. Thank God for the WNBA and that finals holding us over until Suns basketball could finally be back. But man, I have missed being able to come on this show and actually talk about real NBA basketball things instead of he said this over the summer.
But first, we're going to talk about Devin Booker and Matthew McConaughey. No, I'm just kidding.
And what they said. Welcome in, everybody, to the PHNX Suns Podcast. We appreciate you being here. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And, of course, to tip off a brand new NBA season, we have a special for you guys. Do the noise. Espo, do it.
Breaking news.
As you know, we are committed to building the biggest and the best community when it comes to Arizona sports fans, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So much so that we are giving you a special offer with our lowest rate ever. That's right, lowest rate ever for you to become a PHNX Suns diehard today for just $4 a month, billed annually. That's right, for just $48 a year. You're going to get a free t-shirt, access to our exclusive written content, aka Gerald Bourguet and all the amazing stuff, plenty of discounts, access to our PHNX Suns Discord lounge where we all get to hang out and talk Suns basketball. Plus, you can join all the other ones too, not just the Suns one. This is a limited time offer, so act now. Go to gophnx.com/intro to sign up today. It's a limited time introductory offer, so don't miss out.
You know how we decided on 48?
How?
That was our average age on last year's show. But now we got young. Squad is young now. I'm the
I don't
oldest.
know if you just called me and you as old
No,
as him.
I
don't
or
know.
you saying
No.
him, Saul, and Flex were super
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We were super old.
I'm gonna
You
have to
guys
look
were
into
just kind of
the-
old.
have to
all
look
I'm
into the
saying is thanks for the
analytics.
compliment.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Now we got youngins.
I
We
know,
got
look at the
youngins.
I gotta look at the analytics on that one. That doesn't seem right.
I feel like I've been called old on this show like 17 times in the last week. I don't know what's happening.
Most of it was off camera though, so it's
That's
fine.
fair. You're not wrong. But I'm bringing it to the forefront. I need you all to know the bullying that I've had to go through. Anyway, now that the NBA is here and preseason is finally over, we do have to talk a little bit about what we saw from the preseason. So what we're going to do here off the top of the show is a little buying or selling, right?
Mhm.
We want to know if what we saw in preseason will actually translate to the regular season. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, first and foremost, are you buying or selling the amount of threes that the Suns launched during preseason? Will they continue to shoot the same way they did during preseason in the regular season?
I am buying this. And for the members at gophnx.com, you would know this because I wrote about it today.
You can buy it too.
You can. Yeah, literally. No, that in the preseason, I know it's 5 preseason games and that it's preseason, but they were attempting 44 threes a game in the preseason. That was up from 32.6 per game last year. Last year, they were 25th in the NBA. In the preseason, they were 6th in the NBA in three-point attempts. I am 100% buying that this team is going to be maybe not top 5, but I think top 10 is not out of the question for this group. I think they are going to average more than 43s a game. And I think this is something that has been drilled into their brains, ingrained in them. And I think the big three is on board with the fact that, like, we understand basketball has evolved. We have to keep pace with the rest of the league. And I think everyone's bought in now.
I feel like they've improved the margins around the big three.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to play a big piece in why they will be averaging close to, if not more than 40 a night, to Gerald's point. And I also think that Mike Budenholzer and all of his principles that he's established, from the spacing to the shot profile, being basically preached to them ad nauseum in the preseason and through training camp, all of these things are aligned with them being one of the elite three-point attempt teams, and I think they'll tandemize that with also being an elite volume three-point make team as well.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, you got it for me? I'm totally buying this. The Phoenix Suns are going to shoot the three ball like crazy. Those 44 attempts in the preseason are going to carry over into the regular season, because you did that without Grayson Allen playing most of the preseason. You did that with bench guys and deep rotation guys playing. I think you are going to see this team shoot the heck out of the three ball, and they're going to shoot higher than the 35.5% they shot in the preseason. I am buying this because, Eric.
My bad.
There we go. Purple rain. Well, you know.
He probably will call for it 3 more times before the program's over, so be ready. I'm also buying on this one for all the reasons you guys listed, but also because I'm super hopeful that they will buy into shooting more threes, even though we have a bunch of mid-range assassins on our team who are elite in that area. I think that they're all really committed. The way they've talked about it, in addition to the way they've gone out and walked the walk as well during preseason, it just feels different this year. You know what I mean? Like, different, even not just from last season, but even seasons before, when they want to kind of mix things up. Like, everyone from top to bottom is on the same page. Whatever Bud has done individually with these guys, like, we got a glimpse of it from Bradley Beal when he told us, like, Bud brought him into his office and was like, did you see this? Now watch this one. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
And just pointing out directly different areas where he passed up opportunities. Kudos to you, Bud. Kudos to you for getting every single person, it feels like, top to bottom, to really buy into launching threes this season.
Yeah, we've heard "Let It Fly" from the last two Suns coaches, and this it looks like it's going to actually be "Let It Fly." Like, we saw Book and KD pulling up in transition with no conscience. Like, anytime they get an inch of space, letting it loose. Ryan Dunn hitting threes in transition. Monte Morris doing the same thing. Like, and now Nurk is going to be spreading the court to three-point range. So it feels like everyone is fully bought into that philosophy. And I mean, hey, when you tape a bunch of boxes to the court, and that is exactly where you've got guys saying, yeah, if you're not in one of those boxes to start the possession, you're probably in the wrong spot. Like, it's been drilled into their brains now.
Yeah, "Let It Fly" from Monty and Frank was talking like Kite. This is Top Gun stuff that we're dealing with here. This is high octane. Let's actually do this. And I believe that Bud has got them believing into it. And we're going to see Devin Booker with a lot of those pull-up threes right off the dribble. We're going to see a lot of this, and the boxes on the court did appear in training camp. So I think they're fully bought in.
And to both of those 2 points, it seems like it's past just conversational. It seems like, there's literally a plan in place that everybody's being held to account to fall in alignment with. And I think the other big thing is the proof of concept thing that we talked about. Boston averaged what they did last season, 40 or more, and they sustained that in the playoffs, and you saw the point differential on average that they won games by, including in the NBA Finals. That's the golden standard right now. Everybody's playing catch up to them. Any way that you can bite off of what their template was and add it to your context is a positive. Really curious to see what Nurk averages, come season's end, and what the efficiency looks like on that.
Did you see the stat? The Suns won 73.4% of their games when they shot above the league average for three-point attempts last year, 26-9. So, I mean, they were successful.
The math is mathing.
So,
Yeah. All right, buying or selling? Gerald, you just mentioned him. Ryan Dunn and his shooting specifically from deep.
Okay, so I'm not selling.
no.
I'm not selling by any means. He's not going to shoot. I don't think he's going to shoot 43% from three on the year on like 6 attempts per game. I think that could very much look like a preseason thing. But he doesn't need to. They only need him to shoot like 35, 36% for him to be a plus out there because of what he's able to do defensively, because he can't be a guy that you'll just leave alone. Like 35, 36%, you still have to get out to that, especially with the volume that the threes are going to be shooting. So I'm buying it in the sense that it's way better than I expected it to be at this point. I'm not buying that he's, a 45% three-point shooter on that type of volume. But he doesn't have to be. He only has to be mid-30s, and the Suns will be more than happy with that in his rookie year.
I'm not buying the 43% either, because if he's shooting 43%, then they're getting the same value out of him as a shooter that they got out of Grayson Allen last season. And at that point, you're talking about a team that's a bona fide contender that should be doing anything less than making it to the finals. So that's a unprecedented burden to put on a rookie that's supposed to be brought in as a role player.
Right.
But I do think that he doesn't just shoot the requisite percentage that they need on efficiency at that 34-35 sweet spot. I think he also, as we saw more than anything, which I kind of tapped the sign on in the preseason, the fact that he's taking them. They just need him to start taking them, because you can't get to the makes unless you're taking them on that volume. He's already there, and I can see him checking off that box for them.
You know that honeymoon phase in a relationship? We're in that honeymoon phase with the season. So I'm going to buy. Why not?
Yes.
Why not just make them, the favorite to win a championship because Ryan Dunn magically learned how to shoot, so much so that his college coaches went, I'm out. I mean, obviously, I missed something here. Look, will he shoot 43%? No, but I actually now am buying into the potential for him to shoot well, because he almost took as many threes in preseason as he did in his entire time at Virginia, I believe. And when you see a guy working that hard, shooting at volume and hitting at a higher clip, I don't think that was false hope. I think there's definitely hope there, and that 34-35 range isn't crazy. So.
Guys, leave a like in the chat. Whatever likes we end up with at the end of the show, that's what Ryan Dunn's three-point percentage is going to be. So we need to get it way up from the 12 that it's currently
We definitely do.
I'm disappointed. I thought you were going to say you were going to do that many quad shots.
No,
I don't want to die.
We just got started. So let him get into mid-season form before we asked anything of that like that from Gerald.
And real quick, my other big thing with Ryan Dunn, the reason I keep emphasizing him taking them, because he's not known as a three-point shooter yet. One of his strengths in tandem with that, you're talking about the layers of your game, creating like a puzzle for you. If he starts getting those closeouts and he can put the ball in the deck, now his paint touches get that much more value, because now he's driving into advantage, and you know who's going to be spaced around him more often than not. There's nothing but positive basketball coming out of that.
It opens up those back cuts, too, for the point guard.
It's a major advantage creator. For Suns fans that follow me and even talked with Gerald last season about it on Take That for Data, the way that Grayson Allen drives and paint touches hit for the team last season, I could very much see Ryan Dunn falling in alignment with that for this iteration of the team.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying on this one. This might be wishful thinking, but God, could you imagine? So I just got to buy just for the vibes alone. A couple things out of the chat here. Lonnie said he's renting on Dunn's threes. So 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't mind. Leo said, please, NBA, put Ryan Dunn in the 3-point contest.
They're coming.
Could you imagine?
That'd be
Could
hilarious.
you imagine?
I only will allow renting if it's rent to buy.
Yes.
Rent to
Okay,
buy.
that's fair.
If it's just I'm renting until it's not, then no.
Rent to buy program. Sean said done 60% from deep. Book it.
Here we come.
I like your optimism there, Sean. I'm so on board for this one. Okay, next up, the other rookie. Buying or selling, Oso Iguodaro carving out a main role in the rotation before the playoffs.
So a main role, we're talking just like a bench role, like as the main backup. I'm going to buy. I'm going to be optimistic and buy. I do think people are sleeping on the impact that Mason Plumlee can have on this team, but I just think Oso has looked just ready. He's looked completely prepared. He's contributed across the board. He just looks like a smart NBA-ready rookie already. And the fact that, like, we've been focusing a lot on Ryan Dunn, I think Oso, because he hasn't put up the same numbers, has maybe gotten lost in that conversation a little bit. But I think they found a gem in the second round. So it would not surprise me if he does wind up carving out a role either as a, backup 5 in Mason's spot, or as a 4 who comes in and shares the court with Nurkic, because we did see a little bit of that in preseason.
That's what I'm going to buy.
Okay.
I don't think he winds up as a backup center.
Mm-hmm.
I think he winds up getting minutes at the 4.
Okay.
That a lot of people don't necessarily see coming, because right now, what are you relying on? Some combination of maybe Dunn, maybe Royce O'Neal, maybe Bull. I think there's a path to minutes there if he can prove himself.
And you brought up Bull. You are being called to task, Mr. Bull, because you have somebody that has the respect earned of everybody in the franchise already just through a couple of weeks of training camp and preseason, and also Iguodala, and someone that has a similar impact in terms of being able to grab and go on the boards, be able to contest and switch and play on the perimeter while also providing a little bit of rim protection as well. I know I'm buying Oso's stock in terms of that. I think it's going to be a little bit more in alignment with what Espo's speaking to in terms of it being more time shared at the 4 and the 5. Mm-hmm. Sometimes with Nurkic, maybe sometimes with Plumlee at times we might potentially see as well. I think Bud is going to find ways to get him minutes, though. I think that's the big thing. And his impact is going to be felt just as a change of pace type of front court piece, but also a piece that does so with a great deal of skill. Might not necessarily be shooting threes, as a lot of people got to speaking about over the weekend. But guess what? That's not what they brought him in to do. They brought him in to play a more modern style of basketball from the front court outside of just shooting the ball.
I don't know analytics. I'm a mere eye test guy.
Sure.
But I don't think push shot threes are really what the numbers like. Am I correct?
They're so in right now. No, but I do think, to your guys' point, he will have to be flexible, because I don't know that he'll carve out definitively that backup 5 role. But if he's able to slot in as a 4, that opens up pathways to use him. If he's able to come in, like you said, as a change of pace option, if you need more mobility on the defensive end, then he can slot in that way. So I think he's going to have to be, and he does have the skill set for it, but he is going to have to be flexible in terms of filling whatever role they can find for him, because I do think he's going to prove as time goes on, maybe not at the start of the season, but as time goes on, that he's kind of too good and too ready to leave on the bench.
Chat is absolutely buying this one. Everyone is in complete agreement here. We're buying on Oso Ighodaro. Steven, I know this one, you had a few thoughts on this one, right? Buying or selling, points in the paint being the biggest pain point for the Suns this season.
So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm selling on that one.
Okay.
And I'm not selling on it saying that it's not going to be something to keep an eye on. I'm selling on its ranking in terms of what the top priority, just by my personal opinion, is. I'm selling on it, and I think that the biggest maybe barometer for the team, how much do they actually care about playing defense this season? Mm-hmm. I think at times last season we saw them look like a team that was a top 10 defense, which is where they finished in terms of defensive ranking. I think also at times they looked like a bottom third team, especially in fourth quarters. Now, some of that was because of the turnovers and lack of rebounding ability, things like that. Generally speaking, though, if the top 3 players buy into Bud's defensive system and they put forth the sweat equity early on, and early on, I mean before we're speaking on it now, talking about in training camp and preseason, that's gonna be it's gonna be a baton for everybody else on the roster underneath them to pick up on. If they don't do that, I don't know if their offense can reach the ceiling that it needs to for the defensive impact that might not be there, to be what it needs to be for them to be a contending team.
I don't think the points in the paint is going to be my biggest point of emphasis with their defense. I do think it's going to be something that you're probably going to have to get used to them getting outscored in that category, because if we're talking about, taking a lot more threes, this team doesn't have a ton of guys that like to put pressure on the rim. I think they'll get things at the rim with, some of their rim rollers, with maybe Bradley Beal tapping more into his movement and the rim pressure that he provides. But like in the preseason, they gave up 52.4 points in the paint per game. That was 23rd in the NBA. They only scored about 41 points in the paint themselves. That was 27th in the NBA. The focus is going to be more perimeter based, and that's okay because 3 is more than 2. But that is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on this season, because we know defensively that's the side of the floor they're going to really have to prove it. And especially with the centers, like those are the guys that you're going to be looking at to be anchors in that paint and keep guys out of there.
I don't care if they give up points in the paint because 3 is worth more than 2. And that is the game you're playing now. And I think that's just part of what you're going to have to accept, right? The way the team's built, they knew that was going to be a problem, but it's not my most concerning problem at all.
Okay, we're going to pick this up on the other side because I have a follow-up question for each of you about the biggest problem that we have to keep an eye out for, I suppose, or at least just, subtle notches of attention paid. But we're going to take a quick break. Because now that the NBA is back, that means we can bet on the NBA with our friends at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they sign up using the code PHNX365. You just deposit $10 and then choose between either a bet and get offer where you place a bet of $5 or more and you get $200 in bonus bets. Or you can choose a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive a matched refund in bonus bets. Steven, I hope you brought your A game because the betting competition gets a little crazy around these parts. So good luck to you. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Disclaimer, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
As everybody knows, I spend my Friday and Saturday nights in Old Town Scottsdale. And, I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before those night outs with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. You ain't dealing with amateur biotics. You're dealing with probiotics. It was invented by a PhD scientist. You don't want those scientists that don't have a PhD. To tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough next days. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondering what it was actually like, right? You gotta wonder. Now that I've tried it, I believe the hype, and with their GMO technology, they will release different products that help address toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. Go to zbiotics.com/PHNX Suns to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PHNX Suns at checkout. ZBiotics is back with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Okay, real quick before we circle back. Kev in the chat said, I'm buying on the GOAT Expo to win the betting competition again this season. Kev, I feel like I'm due. I was this close the first year and this close last year. I feel like I'm due.
Are you going all in on the dink and dunk strategy again?
Yeah,
this
it's
year?
worked so well.
Excuse me, Gerald.
The 1 step forward, 4 steps back.
And I was so close both years.
And let me tell you, you're going to be so close again this year because the belt ain't going anywhere. The champ is here.
Oh, boy.
And if you come after the king, you best not miss.
Oh,
that's what I'm going to tell you.
Clip that, Eric. Clip that
we're
for
gonna
us,
need to
would
clip
you?
that for sure.
All right.
I smell competition.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
unless he
interesting,
wins, in which
Steven.
case we can delete that footage forever.
Yeah, for sure. Don't let that be out there. Okay. So I know we talked about points in the paint and we talked a little bit about defense. Is there one thing that you're like, that gives me the biggest pause coming into this season? What is that one thing for you?
For me, it's still, I believe in the bench, but I got to see it over time. And especially when it comes to health of the bench, because Monte Morris and Mason Plumlee are guys who we've seen have injuries. If either of those two miss significant time, it really hurts what I think could wind up being a strength for you. And I got to see it with my own eyes to believe it, because last year left me battered and bruised, and I need to see it to believe it.
For me, I don't even know how to describe it, because it's a lot of different things on the defensive end. Like, I do worry about with having Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker out there. Like, Book and Beal are going to have to guard threes. They're going to be outsized. The rebounding component goes hand in hand with that. Are they going to be able to help Nurk out enough? Because Nurk is an elite rebounder on both ends, but are you going to get the team rebounding that you need from KD, from Book, from Beal, from Tyus to help stay even? In the preseason, it looked mostly even. There were a lot of offensive opportunities that they gave up, second chance opportunities. But can you just stay even on that front and make enough threes to where it doesn't matter? Like I don't know how to say it other than just the entire defensive end, because we have questions about the centers, about the points in the paint, about the point of attack defense. Honestly, it's kind of funny. The wing defense is what I came in most worried about. Now between KD and Ryan Dunn, I feel a little bit better, but it's everything else around that now that I'm a little concerned about.
That's it for me too. Defense, just generally speaking, but if we're going more specific, I think where the Suns got burned a lot last season was in their pick and roll defense. And I don't think the solution for them is a coverage overhaul and shift in terms of how they're going to go about defending. I think we're still going to see a whole lot of Nurkic and drop in particular. I think that you can go about how you defend in that context a little differently. He can sometimes be up to touch and then dropping back like DeAndre Ayton did a lot. He can kind of play his drop a little more shallow than deep into the paint as he did at multiple points last season. I think Frank Vogel did a good job moving him around in that last season. But I think just generally speaking, it's going to be the pick and roll defense. And it's not always Nurkic there. It's also about the guards. I have no worry about Ryan Dunn and his navigation of screens on the ball. Is Devin Booker going to be good navigating screens? Is Kevin Durant going to be good navigating screens? Because anytime those guys die when they hit a screen and now Nurkic is exposed, defensive dominoes fall in succession from there.
What's yours, Lindsay?
So I'm with Zach. Zach said, my concern is we saw some bad habits in the last preseason game, few threes, turnovers, bad fourth quarter. I worry we go back to old ways. Mostly it's I worry that we kind of revert back to relying on the mid-range game too much. You know what I mean? And then we have that same math. And then also the turnover things and I talk a lot about how I'm buying into this and I'm very excited to see if they're truly committed the way that it seems like they are. I'm trying to speak it into existence. But there is a small part of me that's are they for sure though? Is this for real? I want to buy it and I am buying it, but I have a small amount of hesitation.
I think regular season, they're going to get them up. I worry about that come playoff time when push comes to shove and defenses take away what you want to do.
Right.
Can Bud and the Suns in general adjust their system to make sure they're still getting up the requisite number of threes? I will say about that concern, Zach, if it does make you feel better, I wouldn't put much stock in the fourth quarter thing. I did a video on that on YouTube, and that preseason game, that fourth quarter was mostly the third string. So that's not going to really be the case.
But the turnovers is also a great point to clean up, right? So the next buying or selling is the point guards that the Suns brought in. So does that solve the turnover issue that we saw last season, resulting in a top 5 offense?
Buy. Yes, 100%. You got 2 of the best assist to turnover ratio guys. I know we've hammered that into the ground, but if they're shooting 40 plus threes on top of that, this offense could be top 2 in my mind, because you got the horses to do it. You got the guys that can shoot at a high enough clip from deep. This team has a lot that they can do offensively, and they just weren't under the right tutelage last year, the right system to tap into it. I think this year they are 100% are.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think having point guards solves all of your turnover problems. I think the big 3 is just going to have to do a better job on that front.
Fair.
KD and Book in particular, since they'll be handling the ball a little bit more. But yeah, having the top 2 guys for the last 5 years in assist to turnover ratio, that's obviously going to help you take better care of the ball, keep you better organized. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the other guys. They have to keep their numbers down too, because otherwise it doesn't matter as much. There's going to be a lot of different guys touching the ball in this offense.
I'm buying it for sure. And just for context, last season, 56% of the Suns' turnovers were live ball. So you imagine how much of an advantage you're conceding to your opponent on volume, to the extent that where you're 10 to 12, 15 points behind in terms of points off of turnovers at the end of a game. That's a lot to make up for in this modern NBA. And those are all not just layups coming from that. Those are transition 3-pointers a lot of times too.
Yeah.
So I think that them being able to control the tempo and pace of the game for themselves, but also to aid their defense as well, is going to be a major plus. The more often they have their defense set, I do think they'll be better on that end of the floor. A lot of that is contingent on their ball security collectively. The 2 point guards help with that. I do think that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant will be better on a lesser volume too because of it.
Last year, the Suns were 25th in both turnovers per game and opponent points off turnovers per game in the preseason. Again, it's preseason. Suns were 4th in opponent points off turnovers and 6th in turnovers.
So even if you find somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
it's still an improvement.
Yes.
Okay. This one is a little sad. I need you to go into specifics. If you're selling, I need you to explain like who is sticking around and who's not. Okay. Buying or selling, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie, and Yusuf Nurkic make it past the trade deadline and stay with the Suns.
I'm selling.
Sorry.
One of them gets dealt, and it's probably Grayson. I mean, caveat. If you have any kind of issue in the first half of the season, it's probably Grayson. If not, it's probably a Josh Okogie to bring in something around the edges to add in for the playoffs. But there is zero chance that all 4 of those guys are on this team after the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm selling as well. Coming into the season, before we heard everything that happened between Mike Budenholzer and Yusuf Nurkic and their chronicles overseas, I would have said that Nurkic probably wouldn't have made it past the trade deadline. It feels like there's a basketball, like an organic relationship there between those two, to the extent that Nurkic bought into shape-shifting his body to better facilitate to the system that Mike wants to play to. So I think he might end up making it past it. He might actually be a true positive, even past what he was last season in moments. I don't think that the latter 3 make it past the trade deadline. Not all 3, at least. I think 2 of them get dealt. I think Grayson's the most likely given his cap-friendly deal. Everybody wants more shooting. He was the best shooter in the NBA last season. There's a handful of teams in the East that could use him, so not trading him to someone that's going to be directly in your way in terms of getting to the finals makes a lot of sense. And then the other one, between Royce O'Neal and Josh Okogie, like you said, I feel like they're going to find a way to improve on the margins in some capacity at that wing position, if not in the center group. That's going to kind of help them a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say buy and that everything works out and you don't have any needs, but we know this team is aggressive. We know this team likes to address those needs in ways that they feel help the team. So it's hard to see all 4 of those guys still being on the roster past the trade deadline. I couldn't tell you who. I think we all agree that Grayson has the most trade value out of those 4 guys. I think we understand that the Suns structured Josh Okogie's contract a certain way for specific reasons, not just to give him a payday, but also to make, give them a little bit more trade flexibility. I don't know that Nurk has a lot of trade value, and I don't know that, if you're trading him, what are you doing at the starting center spot? That's a question mark for me. And then Royce, I feel like he's a useful vet. I don't know how much value he has on that new contract. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you who it is, but I do think that one of them might be gone by the trade deadline.
I think they make a move. I am with you. It's hard to determine at this point who will be gone because you kind of have to wait and see what the rest of the league kind of looks like at that point. But I do think they make a move. Just because they're so close and they're all in, chips are in the center of the table here when it comes to the Suns and their goal of winning a championship in the next couple of years. They 100% make a move, in my opinion.
Zach Zent in the chat's pulling on my heartstrings. He says Okogie and Jock make the same amount. Swap. He always has a seat here. That's all I'm going to say.
You're not wrong. Okay. On the other side, we're going to do some predictions for this season, and we're going to put our money where our mouth is and pick specific ones, okay? But we're going to take a quick break first. I had to go to Circle K today to get some gas. And of course, I went inside and got myself a Polar Pop because even though, look at it, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Even though the weather is cooling down here in Phoenix, Polar Pops are year-round staples for me, but it's also still like 80 some odd, 90 degrees outside, so sometimes you just need a little refreshing treat, and Circle K is the best place to go to get yourself a treat, especially if you are a part of the Inner Circle, their free membership program, because you get discounts. So you can right now enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. The Inner Circle members like you and me can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. That's perfect. We love that. You can also save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups and 3 cents per gallon every single day. So join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for all the details.
You guys know where we're going to be Friday night?
Yes.
Gila, River Resort and Casinos. We're going to be out at Wild Horse Pass for our watch party and live pre and post game show. I won't be on the shows. These guys are going to handle it for you with our friend White Noise Eric Ruby in the back there. But, Gila River Resort and Casinos does it better than anybody. It is fantastic right there. There are 4 locations: Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, and Santana Mountain are fantastic. You want to get out there, and they've got amazing restaurants, right? I got to tell you, fantastic fine dining with their Prime A Shula's Steakhouse. It's unbelievable. But if you just like pizza, they got a great pizza spot. They got fantastic food where we'll be as well in their swing base suites. So come on out, check it out because we'll be hosting plenty of live events throughout the season, including this Friday as the Suns take on the Los Angeles Lakers in LA. Papa tells you can come out for that. So you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@Gila.com for more details. And I wasn't calling myself Papa.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't like that.
Never again.
No, it's the LeBron Papa.
Oh,
Papa.
Okay, all right. We just listen. I just needed clarification.
I'm clarifying.
We don't support that.
Guys, we're only at 34 likes. Is that really what we think Ryan Dunn's 3-point
That's so
percentage is going to be?
sad.
I mean,
Hit that
we
thumbs up
said
button.
we'd be happy.
No, what it's going to be, not what we think it's gonna be.
I want it to be 200%.
You guys literally dictate the future of the Suns. What are you doing right now?
Take matters into your own hands.
Oh my
and
God.
Leave us a like.
All right.
By the way, shout out to Kev, who's part of the Bucket Hat Boys. All right. Come out on Friday.
You don't even have a bucket
I was
hat,
going to
bro.
say, are you part of the
You
Bucket Hat
don't know
Boys?
that.
You've never worn one
You
on
don't
this
know
program.
Maybe it's something that I do in my personal time.
Whatever, you liar. All right,
bucket
Suns.
And that's it.
Suns over under
Mhm.
47.5 on the Bet365 app. What are you doing?
Wins for the season?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going over. Unless there's injuries, I'm going over. I'm going 55.
I'm going over at 57. I told you. It's going to be between 55 and 60 wins. You look at Mike Budenholzer's track record in the regular season. You look at the potential of this offense. You look at the vibes. As long as health, and I know that's a big caveat, but as long as health, 57 wins is where they're going to wind up.
I'm over for sure.
Mhm.
I'm at 53.
Mhm.
I wanted to keep it a little modest. I think there's going to be some slippage at some point. Injuries are inevitable as well.
Mhm.
But I do think they see rather stark improvement from last season, 49. A 5-point win plus is a big difference. That's a jump from where they were last season to about 3rd place if the record stayed the same.
Steven, you're going to learn I don't do modest.
He really doesn't. I
knew that already. Trust me.
I was at like 53, 54, and then I saw how many threes they were shooting in preseason, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm feeling Coach Bud a little bit more than I was expecting to. So
You know me. Err on the side of caution here. I'm going 52. I'm going to hit the over, but we're just going to hang it 52. Okay? All right? There
Did
we
you
go.
see the analytics projection that had them at like 46.4 wins?
I did.
It was a data thing.
Did that take into
simulation.
account injuries? I'm assuming.
I don't know, but
Probably.
46 seems crazy to me.
If
3
you had
worse
46,
than last
I hope
year.
it took into account injuries in
It
some
has to.
capacity.
I don't
'Cause
know.
Otherwise, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, for sure.
Eric, who is behind the Mac today, but will be on the show with us tomorrow, hits the over as well with 56 wins. So just right behind you, Espo.
That's
He's
my guy.
super optimistic about this one.
That is my guy. I like that, Eric.
All right. Who will be the Pacific Division winner this year? Who are you rolling with?
The Suns.
The Suns.
Everyone
I
across the
almost
board
went
said
Kings. I
Suns.
thought maybe they'd surprise, but nah. At 57 wins, I got to go Suns.
It's a plus 180 right now. So pretty good odds if you're feeling good about this. Get yourself some plus odds.
I think
What
the Suns should be the best team. I do think that
Mhm.
every team in the Pacific, there is not a pushover in that group. Like, I think the Kings, Lakers, Clippers, and Warriors are all going to be decent teams, or at least surprise some people.
I think the Suns, we know this, but I think the Warriors are going to be a little better than people are kind of perceiving them to
I
be.
agree.
Shout out to Shane Young. We had a nice conversation, and he actually changed my opinion a little bit to being a little bit more positive than it was prior to that conversation on Saturday. And I do think they'll have some say so. I don't think they'll be as close to the Suns as I'm speaking to now, but I do think they'll have some relevance come playoff time.
A lot of that relies on Buddy Hield and how he performs
Mhm.
with them. If he performs well enough, I think that they're good. Can we put the image back up for 1 second? why did we make Steven look like Buddy the Elf? I feel bad. Steven looks like Will Ferrell and Elf in that
We
photo.
need to get him a cartoon head.
The request is in. It's on its way, people. Don't worry. We'll get it. We'll get it soon. I promise. All right. So we all are in agreement for a Pacific Division winner.
Mhm.
Are we all in agreement for who will win the West?
No.
Dun, dun,
No,
dun.
we're not.
Doubt
Well,
it.
some of us are.
You should
Some of
be.
us are. Some of us are not. Espo and I are.
Yeah, we're on the right side of
That's
history.
right, Espo.
We're
We
on
got
the right side.
Suns.
Bunch of freeloaders just trying to ride the wave
Oh,
of,
here we go.
of OKC.
Here comes the accent. Freeloaders over here.
Do-do-do, we're just gonna pick OKC. No, break the trend.
Lame.
Break the trend.
Go
Yeah,
ahead. Explain
so
yourselves.
Steven, Eric, and I all have OKC winning the West this year. They're really good. Damn, I don't know what you want. Like, they're really good. They're really young. They have flexibility to make a move if they need to. They added Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein over the summer. Like, and Shea's just going to get better. Jalen Williams is just going to get better. Chet Holmgren is just going to get better. They're the scariest team in the West to me by far.
I love you, but we expected something profound, and you're like, they're good.
Sometimes you don't need to overthink it. It's
Sometimes
pretty,
it can be
it's
as
pretty
simple as
profound.
that, right?
We're gonna talk about our MVP picks shortly, so
Yeah.
I don't wanna play spoiler yet.
Mhm.
But inevitably, me speaking to Oklahoma City is gonna kind of show my hand here.
Mm.
I don't think that there's gonna be regression from their offense.
Mhm.
I think that for every inch of makeup that the league is gonna make for watching film on them from last season, Mike Dagnall's system is gonna continue to evolve,
Mhm.
and in that is going to be a lot of internal development, specifically from Chet Holmgren, obviously, and also from Jalen Williams. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm sure, is going to find some way on the margins to get better as well.
Mhm.
In addition to them improving the context around those three,
Mhm.
that I just don't see how this team finishes anything less than first in the West. They're youthful. They're going to be gunning for it more than other teams that are more veteran heavy in terms of their roster. And naturally, it's going to put them in that position.
I agree that they will be very good.
Mm.
I can see where they wind up one in the West, but I think playoff experience still will be the Achilles heel. Maybe they meet the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe it is a 7-game series, but I just feel like they're going to run into somebody with experience on that roster, and they'll take another lump. Now, if you told me next year, they take that playoff lump this year and they make it over the hump next year, I could buy that. I just don't see it this year.
I mean, they kind of already got their playoff lump.
No,
last
you need
year.
multiple.
Does Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein being added to that team shift you at all?
A little bit. I mean, I think that they have better pieces than last year.
Mhm.
But as we know, you have to kind of grow as a team when new pieces come in. You have to figure out things. I look at the playoffs and I still think they got 1 year before their Western Conference Finals.
I hate to break it to everybody, but even if they do fall short of the finals or being, in the conference finals even, they're still about 2 years ahead of the curve in terms of where they were expected to be and still have all types of picks in tow, in addition to players that they can trade off of their roster to still improve.
That's the thing. They could make a major move at a deadline and get that much better. I mean, that's fair.
I'm just not ready for the OKC version of the Suns, or not Suns, version of the NBA. I just need one more year
OKC
of
in the
not they're
finals.
just dominating. You know what I
I'm
mean?
sorry, but you
Like, I
can't-
feel like it's one of those things that's kind of a little bit inevitable that it's going to happen.
The clouds are looming.
Yeah.
Yes.
you can't tell me that Adam Silver, the Nosferatu of basketball,
Come on.
is sitting in his Gotham City
Crypt.
tower, going, "Yes, please, can we have OKC in the finals?" Like that? No. Like if Larry O'Brien moves to OKC before he moves to Phoenix, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Okay. So, real quick, since we got Pacific Division, we've got the West. I'm assuming we're not going to agree on champs then, because again, Espo and I are rolling with a hometown team, the Phoenix Suns. Gerald, Steven, you guys have the Boston Celtics, and Eric is rolling with OKC again here.
I mean, I think it's going to be if I had to predict now, I think it's going to be a great series between Boston and OKC in the finals. I think the Celtics ultimately have just a little bit too much as long as they're healthy. And I do think at that point, the playoff experience, like there's a difference between being in the playoffs and being in the finals. And we've seen that affect a lot of different players, star caliber players. I think that would make the difference. Boston having been there just last year, having won it all, I think that gives them the edge. But again, we're picking from a West where I feel like you could pick 5 or 6 teams that could realistically win the West, and the East where I think it's Boston for sure, but like New York, Philly, if they're healthy, they're not that far behind either.
Philly healthy. That's a good one. That's the best joke made on today's show.
Yeah, I was like, aren't they already missing 2 of their main players?
Guys, we can't make that joke because we didn't have our big 3 to start last season either. So let's not throw stones from glass houses. All right.
Fair.
Okay. First off, I regret my decision to allow Eric to be full-time on this program. Freaking OKC. No. And second of all, a Suns Celtics finals is going to happen. I'm going to throw out an egregiously early prediction.
Sure.
The Suns will shoot more threes in that finals than the Boston Celtics.
Oh, wow.
All right. I love it. Okay, well,
they're going to have to shoot like 60. So
here's
I'm here
the
for
deal.
it.
If you want to put your money down on the Suns as the conference winners, it's plus 1,200 right now on Bet365. And if you want to put your money down on them to win it all, it's plus 3,000. So you could win a whole bunch of different ways with them. All right. You did put money on them to win, Eric? Okay, all right. So I'll take that.
That's an emotional hedge there.
Slightly redeemed yourself there. Okay, we've got more on the other side, but first, a quick break. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if somebody is offering me bonus money, it's like free money. So you basically get to use it for whatever you want.
Sure.
And right now, our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union are offering $200 in bonuses when you open a free checking account online. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial Credit Union has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. You can look to them for checkings accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Don't leave your $200 in bonuses on the table. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. I would recommend, this is not good financial advice, but you take that $200 in bonuses and you get yourself an amazing Halloween costume. I'm just saying. It could be really fun.
I thought she was going to recommend the chocolate covered almonds.
I mean, that too.
That's a lot of
That
almonds.
too.
I love right now. This is a PHNX read, so I can stretch out a little bit.
Do whatever you want.
I like history. Do you guys like history?
Kevin Durant likes history.
Did you like witnessing history?
Yeah.
Well, then come join us for our takeover. We can witness some history as the Valley Suns make their debut, and they christen Mullet Arena with basketball.
That's some history I can get behind.
So I'm super excited for us. So join us out there. It is November 11th as the Valley Suns take on the Stockton Kings. Sure, these teams aren't creatively named, but it is
Names
great G
nonetheless.
League basketball. Monday, November 11th, we'll all be out there. We're going to have a great time. And they are spectacular seats, I can tell you that much. And you saw the venue. It looks unbelievable for basketball.
Yeah, Steven and I were there for the open practice the other day. They had a scrimmage there, and there's not a bad seat in the house, but being up that close where we're going to be sitting is going to be really cool. And it's a great environment for basketball because it's nice and compact. It's going to be very loud, and you're going to be able to see the action really up close. It's going to be fun.
All right, guys. Next up, who will be the Suns' leading scorer this season?
I think we have 2 options.
Frank commit. Oh,
Ryan Dunn or Elsa Iguodala.
I'm going to roll with KD on this one. I know that him and Book were tied.
They were.
I just feel like KD is going to be optimized in a better way this year. Like you've talked about it so much in Bud's system, Gerald, in your season previews that you guys can see at gophnx.com. I just feel like KD is going to be freed up to just do his thing. And if Ryan Dunn really comes through taking a little bit of that defensive load off of him too, he's going to have even more energy to just launch threes all night.
We could call him Optimus not in his prime and still scoring like that, right? I have him too, but I think it's going to be like 2.2 points. I don't think it's going to be anything.
It's not astronomical.
No, not in any way.
It's a coin flip for me. I just went with KD just because I don't know. I couldn't really explain it to you. I just think it's Kevin Durant because, like Lindsay said, they're going to optimize him a little bit better this season. And I think him shooting more threes this year is going to boost those numbers a little too.
Shout out Eric, my guy. Big salute. We did not copy off each other's responses to this either. This is me seeing that now. I've held the perspective that for the Suns to be their best, whether it was the Chris Paul iteration or the Kevin Durant iteration, Devin Booker has to be the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Devin Booker's best skill that he brings to the court, and he's a very skilled player, is putting that ball in the basket. If he's putting the ball in the basket at a higher volume than Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is and I put this in quotes because he's not a second fiddle in any capacity.
Right.
But if in the paradigm of your team scoring, he's the second option, that hits a lot different than, okay, yeah, we know Kevin Durant's going to go get 30 and Book's going to be at like 29.5. I think Devin Booker has to be their leading scorer for them to be the team that they desire to be. And I think in addition to that, the avenue to success there, his career average in terms of the highest in threes is 7.1. I think he gets to 7.5, if not closer to 8, and he gets closer to 3 makes for the first time in his career. That's a lot of pull-up threes, that's pick and roll threes, that's catch and shoot threes, transition. Those are ways for him on the margins to get closer to averaging 30 a game.
I personally would like to thank you and Eric for your courage in deciding to go with Devin Booker as the leading scorer. Yeah. I know you had to go out on a limb with it, so I really appreciate
I know, right?
Well, as Shagun said in the chat, Eric picked SGA, WTF. So at least Eric picked a Suns player.
All right, guys. Next up, we've got Coach of the Year. Who are we all going to roll with here? I have Bud.
I've got Bud as well. I think, being away from the league for a year, coming back to this Suns team, expectations outside of Phoenix aren't that high for this group, it feels like. I think if the Suns come out here and win 55 to 60 games, he's going to be in that conversation for sure. I do think I agree with Steven that Mark Daigneault is going to be up there as well. He was last year, obviously. It's kind of down to those two for me. Or like I do see Eric's pick with Joe Mazzulla that the Celtics could just win 60 plus games and there's nobody else that really steps up in that way.
Okay, but first off, OKC's coach looks like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm just going to say it. Nobody's talking about the important things. But
sure.
If OKC or Boston have success, nobody's surprised, right? But if the Suns are a top 3 team in the West, they've changed the paradigm on their turnovers. They're a 3-point shooting team, and Mike Budenholzer does it again, where he has a 50-plus win team in the regular season. I think it's going to be very hard not to give it to him, right? Because storylines are what drive a lot of these awards. And there's not a better storyline than hometown kid makes good, changes the vibes, changes everything about the Suns, and puts them where people thought they should have been last season. I think that's going to be a hard narrative to get past, unless the Celtics win like 68 games, and do something to the Eastern Conference that's just insanity, right?
I do think he'll have to get to 55 to 60 wins for this to be a thing, though. And I think I had the prediction at 55 wins, so I think that'll happen. But I still think OKC is going to win more games, so I think Daigneault's going to be in that conversation. I think the Celtics could very well go for 64 plus again, at which point Mazzulla is in there. So I think if you're the Suns and that's what you're up against, I do think the narrative is great. It helps. But you got to get to at least like 55.
Sure. But if they do, he's going to get a ton of credit for that. I also think this is just like the best value pick when it comes to Coach of the Year, because it's a plus 1,600 right now.
Yeah.
And like, there is in my opinion, there is a world in which this does happen. And he does win this award, like genuinely, not me just being a homer here.
Sure.
So I think from a value perspective, this is a great one to throw $5 or $10 down on.
The biggest Coach of the Year question, though, is does Monty win that high school division's Coach of the Year that he's coaching
100%.
in San Antonio?
Hell yeah.
All right. Rookie of the Year. I am rolling with our guy, Ryan Dunn, you guys. Now, listen, of course, I love rooting for the Phoenix Suns. But here's the deal, okay? Prior to preseason ending, Ryan Dunn wasn't even an option when it came to betting on Rookie of the Year. He's a plus 4,000, which I know is pretty high. And I know the odds of Ryan Dunn winning Rookie of the Year are not great. Okay, I'm very well aware of that. But I don't think it's entirely outside of the realm of possibility. And I might be trying to convince myself a little bit too much because I did put $5 down on this one.
Oh.
But if he shoots 37% from three this year, which again, not outside of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying it's a shoo-in. And he plays defense like we expect him to play defense. And if the Suns do really well and Ryan Dunn is a main player in that, you don't think he's going to at least be talked about in that conversation?
I think he will, but I think we look at what he did in preseason, put up like 9.4 points, which is really good.
He has to be over double digits for sure.
Yes. I don't think he's going to get the counting stats to get there because when you look at rookie of the year, it's usually a guy that's putting up, double digit scoring or just all around dominant. I do think he will be first team all rookie. I think I could very well see that in his future. Just because of the defensive impact, because the Suns are going to be a winning team, because I think he's going to carve out rotational minutes and be an X factor on both ends. But I don't know if he's going to put up the stats that like a Zach Edey or maybe a Reed Shepherd, depending on how much minutes he gets in Houston. I'm going with Zach Edey just because
that's the most logical choice.
He's their starting center. He's going to put up big numbers. He looked great in preseason. Like, I think that's my guy.
It's not the situation, unfortunately, for Mr. Dunn to be rookie of the year just because he's not going to play the requisite minutes total.
I get that.
To compete with others.
But if he does have a pretty substantial role on this team, like in terms of what his role could be, I feel like you got to give him credit for that you're a rookie who came into this Phoenix Suns squad with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and everyone else, and you carved out minutes for yourself and were actually like super instrumental. I know it's not usually what would happen. I just think he deserves a little love there.
I think the one way for him to possibly, and this is like super pie in the sky. Only way he could really get that is if he was like all NBA second team defense type of impact.
Right.
Now that's not out the realm. I just don't think it's realistic in his role right now. But also, given it's his rookie season, and there's still going to be learning curves for him to kind of navigate.
Look, I won our betting challenge by taking big swings, right? So I took a big swing here.
Okay.
Tyler Collette as rookie of the year, because if Jalen Brunson gets hurt for any significant amount of time, he steps in and New York still stays on pace for what they're going to do. It's freaking New York. It's the mecca of basketball. It's East Coast bias. Like, I think that would push him into the conversation and towards the top, depending on how well they do. So I'm gonna take a big swing and guess there.
Okay,
so.
That is a big swing.
I got Tommy. I convinced Tommy, you guys. Said I'm with Lindsay on this one. I'm going to roll with it.
He's going to have to be
Tommy.
He's going to have to be a defensive stopper, 15 points per game, probably starter minutes, if not taking a starter spot.
Let us
40% from three.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I'm just saying that he's probably not going to put up the numbers.
Lindsay, I believe that it won't happen so much that I will make this bet with you.
Oh.
If he wins Rookie of the Year, I will wear a beanie for the entire playoff run. Including if there's a parade. I will wear it outdoors in June for a parade.
Let's go.
It may be the only thing I'm wearing at the parade, but I will wear the beanie.
Oh, no.
But beanie if he wins Rookie of the Year.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Eric has Sachet as his pick for Rookie of the Year.
I think he will be good.
He will be good.
He will be.
He's with the right team and the right point guard to make him good for sure.
Next up, we've got most improved player. For this one, I'm going to roll with Wemby here. I think Wemby's got to win some awards for sure. And I have him winning two, honestly.
I always struggle with like what most improved player is because it's only like his second year in the league. Like, of course he's going to improve. We knew he was going to be a star. He averaged like 20 points a game last year. That was the reason why I didn't go with Wemby, but it wouldn't surprise if he comes out here and puts up like 28 a game and the Spurs are a play-in team. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Wemby winning this. I went with Jalen Williams, who has not been in the league that much longer than Wemby, if we're being honest. But I do think he was around like 16, 17 a game. I think he could easily be over 20 points a game. Voters usually like to look for a jump in the scoring column. I think if the Thunder are winning 60-plus games and Jalen Williams is out here being a lockdown defender on one end and a 22, 23 points per game scorer on the other, I think he'll have a pretty strong case.
I think Paulo Banchero, because I think Orlando stakes their claim to being either the second or third best team in the East, undoubtedly. I think he steps into that superstar conversation, and those are the kind of moments that can win over people. Again, I'm a big believer in storylines when it comes to these, and that'd be a huge storyline that Orlando has emerged fully from that rebuild hell that they were in.
I like that pick with Paulo. I have high expectations for him. I think he's reaching probably even exceeding those, especially if they're in that top 4 seed going into the playoffs. Just looking at the most improved the last handful of years, just look at the players and kind of think back to around those years, what their perception was going into them. So in 2020, it was Brandon Ingram. 2021, Julius Randle. 2022, Ja Morant. 2023, Lauri Markkanen. 2024, Tyrese Maxey. All of those players had a certain bar in terms of expectation that preceded them before that season that they actually won the award. As you said, you don't know what most improved is at this point.
Yeah.
Inevitably, it's going to be Victor Wembanyama. We know he's great. We know he's already got great expectations. I think the thing that's going to move the needle for him is not necessarily going to be skill development. We know he's going to take great strides. I think it's going to be if the San Antonio Spurs make the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
I don't think they have real expectations this season. If he's carrying them to a play-in spot, that's going to just shift things in an onslaught type of fashion in his favor for this award specifically.
Having Chris Paul in his corner doesn't hurt there either.
Not at all.
Did we miss somebody, though? Could Tyus Jones be a sleeper in that?
He's on the list, actually. He's at I think it was a plus 30,000 for Tyus Jones, which is really high. I could be exaggerating, but I know it was super high, which was why I was like,
on that
I'm not going to roll with just the Suns one on this one. But he was on the list, so at least he's in the conversation technically from a betting perspective.
Can I admit something? I have no clue what a band is. It was set.
It's $1,000.
It was just set on this program a lot last year.
You don't want to put a band on there.
$1,000.
I will put $5 on it. Yeah, I'll put $5 on it. All right, I'll put $5 on it.
It's not a
I
rubber
put
band.
$5 on it. That's more
the speed. No, look, I think reading off the list of names that Steven read, it's got to be like a star caliber player. I don't know if Tyus is that in this context, especially. And, he's going to have to go from 12 points and 7 assists last year to probably 18, 19 plus 10 assists to be in that conversation. I think he'll get a lot of attention because of the deal that he took, the fact that he's kind of this X factor piece to bring the big three together and whatnot. But I do like Eric's pick as well for Jalen Johnson. I think that's a good pick with the Hawks because that's a young kid who is now kind of the focal point of whatever they're trying to do over there. Or he's going to be more of a focal point. But I like that. It was between him and the two Jalens for me, Jalen Johnson and Jalen Williams.
Okay, I exaggerated a little bit. Plus 15,000.
I'll still put my $5 band on it.
There you go. Plus 15,000 for Tyus Jones, most improved player. All right, next up, we've got sixth man.
I can't tell if he's saying he's going to put $5 rolled up in a rubber band or if he paid $5 for a rubber band that he's going to put on this.
I'm gonna have my daughter fold a $5 bill into a band around my wrist. I'll put that $5 on it.
There we go.
All right, sixth man of the year. I got Naz Reid here. I know there's competition now, but I still think with all the moves they made, he's going to have a repeat of last year, if not more, for them to stay where they would like to be.
I'm going to go Dante DiVincenzo just because I love the idea of him getting so mad at the Knicks for what they did to him that he just torches the league in that way. And especially in the 2 games they play against the Knicks, he drops 50 in both of those on him because I just love fun storylines. And that is one of my favorite of the NBA season.
He seems like he's on the warpath already.
That was fantastic.
Me and Steven both are going with Malik Monk. I think looking at sixth man of the year, it's usually just a guy that comes in and puts up a lot of points off the bench. Last year, I liked that Naz Reid got the attention he deserved, but I think this year we revert back to old tendencies, and I think Monk is probably going to put up 18 or 19 off the bench.
There's definitely some competition now.
It's hard for a non-guard to win sixth player of the year oftentimes. You have to be somebody of Naz Reid's type of cloth that you're cut from that's launching threes and that has that loud type of impact on the game. Obviously, I picked Malik Monk. I will throw a sleeper out there, though.
Sure.
Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, and that's a big if, we know Alex Caruso has struggled with injuries because of the style of play that he plays with. His impact for Oklahoma City is going to really change things. Like there was minimum weaknesses with that team already. He just took one of their strengths and just like put a Mr. T type of forearm on their bicep on there. And I think there's gonna be a lot of positivity that comes from that, especially in a winning environment.
I watched him as part of the Toon Squad in Space Jam, and I don't think he can do it. That was Elmer Fudd.
Unreal. Do we? We're getting a lot of Grayson talk in the chat.
Just real quick, Malik Monk plus 500 right now. Nas Reed actually jumped. It was plus 750 yesterday. It's plus 900 now.
Okay.
Alex Caruso plus 1600. Let me see if I can find Grayson Allen. Oh, here we go. Plus 4,000.
Okay.
I just don't think he's going to get enough attention for it.
I don't think he's going to put up the number of points you need.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many options on this team.
Well, and I mean, even if he regresses a little bit in three-point shooting from where he was last year, people will be like, well, he didn't do what he did last year.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think that's going to hurt him too.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next up, Defensive Player of the Year. I'm rolling with Wemby on this one too. I think he'll definitely take this one home.
He was already, top 3 in that voting last year, and that was for a Spurs team that was bad. I think if the Spurs even make a marginal step forward and their defense is respectable, it's going to be Wemby because he's about to dominate that side of the ball for the next decade.
All of us, except for Espo, are rolling with Wemby, actually. So, Espo, who'd you pick?
I picked Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I think Giannis is kind of being slept on a little bit now. Obviously injuries have hurt him, but I think he could reinsert him into the national narrative this year and do so on the defensive end. So I like him. I do. Let's put up the graphic again. Is Eric a little less confident than everybody else? But he's only got half a Wemby. You only got half Wemby there.
Half Wemby.
Listen, this to me is like the least one that I would want to put money down on. Wemby's a minus 200 to win this one. Like, let's just pass on actually betting on Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion.
I like your pick for Giannis. I questioned his guard group's ability to defend on the perimeter. That was one of their Achilles heels last season. He'll need to be a Defensive Player of the Year type of player for them to be as good as they desire to be. Let's not forget, Wembanyama did tell Rudy Gobert to enjoy his last Defensive Player of the Year award because he said the award was his to come for the next handful of years. It's that passing of the torch.
He was right to tell Rudy that. I mean, Rudy ain't winning it again, but
Rudy was sitting on the bench for France.
Context is crazy. You thinking about it now?
He's like, it's all right, old man. We good now.
For sure.
Okay, next up, MVP. Who are we all rolling with here on this one? I have Kevin Durant. No surprise here. I'm rolling with my Suns guys. I picked KD as the Suns' leading scorer, so I would like to see KD win MVP.
How's he going to win MVP on a 52-win team?
That's just my anxiety. I don't actually think it's going to be 52. Right. That's my anxiety and not wanting to be the first one out of that competition.
Based on all your other picks, they can't win 52 games. They got half the league's award winners. Like, how are you going to win? They're going to win 70 on your path here.
Let's freaking go. Tell me my timeline wouldn't be the most fun timeline of all of these.
If they won 52 and all these guys won these awards, something very weird has happened in this NBA season.
The record thing is that's a superstition. Right. Okay, the record thing is a superstition. Okay.
Just had to clarify.
And that's fair. That's fair.
I am in agreement with Eric. I think it's going to be Luka. I think the Mavs.
Boo.
I don't want it to be.
Neither one of us said one. I said think. I think it's going to be Luka. I think the Mavs are going to win enough for a top 3 or top 4 seed, and if they do that, Luka's numbers are going to be enough. But I will say I really waffled between Luka and Steven's pick because if the Thunder win 60-plus games and Shea puts up numbers like he did last year, I think it's hard to give it to anybody else.
I think Tatum is going to carry over some of the storyline from last year. I think the East is a lot easier for Boston to dominate than anybody necessarily dominating in this crazy Western Conference, and that may just set him far enough above. Like if this is one of those weird years where the Celtics finish 8 wins, 9 wins more than the Western Conference 1 seed, and Tatum has the kind of regular season impact that we saw him have, I feel like he gets the nod there just because people are like, oh, it's Boston, they might win 2 in a row, like, and he winds up narrative winning it.
He's got to do it to an even bigger degree than last year, though, because they finished 7 wins higher than the next closest team last year, and Tatum was, top 5 candidate, but he wasn't seriously a candidate. He's got to like boost his numbers. They got to finish way ahead of everybody, and only then, because I think at this point, especially with him not winning Finals MVP, the narrative around Tatum is like he's very good, but he's not like that guy in the same level as a Jokic or a Shea or one of those. And we saw it happen to Book too. The season they won 64 and were like 9 wins ahead, and Book was only top. I think he was 4th.
Do you also think that anything from this summer rolls over into the season as far as narratives go, in the sense of like the Olympics and just kind of the everything that came out of that? One way or the other, like people could be like, he got snubbed and want to help boost him up a little bit, or people could be like, he was a big old crybaby, I'm not voting for him.
He's going to have to shatter that conception that he is a player that you can bench on Team USA and it be the right call, because that's kind of the perception right now. So you have to go above and beyond, both in team wins and your own individual stats, to kind of break that barrier.
Are we new in the NBA? Again, East Coast bias. I think the narrative shifts in favor of Tatum and against Book again. This whole summer of love with Book, I think, is forgotten this year, and the hate towards Tatum because of the Team USA stuff is forgotten, and everything goes back to NBA norms where Phoenix is ignored, Boston's exalted, the Lakers somehow are still darlings even though they're a middling team, and the Knicks all of a sudden are on like every other day on national television because the NBA.
As opposed in full curmudgeon mode, so that's how you know the regular season is back.
Did we miss anything with this? Thon said MIP, most improved player, Lonzo Ball. Is there a world in which
comeback maybe?
But like,
there's no comeback.
But does the narrative kind of create like something there? Could you create an amazing storyline that you kind of feel compelled?
You have to kind of be on a good team, I feel like.
I mean,
they're going to win like 24 games.
But if he plays 70 games, even if it's 2 minutes, I mean, technically he is significantly improved because the knee didn't fall apart.
Come on.
So I could understand the argument that just simply by playing, you are the most improved player.
Yeah.
Come on.
But actually, the Bulls training staff should win most improved if Lonzo Ball plays 70 games. I'm sorry, I know you just came from Chicago.
Listen, if he was to stay healthy all season, it'd probably be a little bit more because of his doing than the franchises. But that's a whole other can of worms I'm not gonna get into. But yes, it's like that out there.
Hey man. Any Bulls slanders welcome on this program. I'm just going to tell you that.
Shout out Big Dave and Matt Peck.
Absolutely.
And
Tommy
Big Will too.
in the chat said Booker MVP, book it. So Book is a plus 10,000 right now. Katie is a plus 6,500, just in case you were curious. All right, we do have a couple super chats here. Apologies, Leo, for missing your super chat when we were doing buying or selling, but he said buying or selling Mikal Bridges' new jump shot.
I'm selling it. I'm giving it away. I'm paying for the shipping and handling that. What did they do to our guy?
What are we doing?
Hey,
selling all the way.
Anytime you can add a hit shoot jump shot, you got to do it, right?
He looks like a Lego figure shooting a shot.
It looks like Charles Barkley's golf swing.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not a good comparison at all. Not even a little bit.
Richard sent us one. Thank you, Richard. They said, Espo, thank you for welcoming me to the family.
Richard, thank you for becoming a diehard. Take advantage of what we got going on.
Yeah.
You got to become a diehard. Limited time intro offer, $48. Richard did it. You can do it. Come on, join us. It's going to be a lot of fun this season. All sorts of unique things in store, including I'll be in the Discord for some games and I'm not on the program. Talking it up with you about what's going on in the game.
Honestly, timing for becoming a diehard could not be better if you are a Suns fan, that's for sure. Like, you want to get access to all the things. So definitely check it out. Haas sent us one, and they said, should we expect being 2-0 for home opener? I do.
I think you should. I think they might be 1-1, but I think 2-0 is what they should be.
Yes.
Agreed. It should be 2-0 going into the takeover.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-0 because we're gonna feel so good that we're just gonna mentally give an extra win. Let's have some fun. I want the vibes back this year. Let's have some fun. Let's see some exciting basketball, and let's beat the brakes off of both LA teams.
There you go.
Let's do
Beat
it.
LA.
All right. Just some housekeeping things. One more time, hit that thumbs up button if you're here with us on YouTube. Tomorrow tips off the Suns season, so that means pregame shows are back. So we will be live at 6:30 p.m. with a pregame show. This game's at 7, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Game's
just
at
making
7.
sure. We're not on like weird timing
Lindsay.
yet.
Nope, not yet.
Shoot.
Next month.
Okay, pregame show, 6:30 p.m. Be right here on our YouTube channel. And then postgame show after the game wraps up. Friday, we will be having a watch party out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can get all the information at gophnx.com on the events tab. But this is your formal invitation if you've missed it the last week or so that we've been telling you about it. Come hang out with us. We're going to watch the game together. We're going to do a live show from out there. It is an absolute blast. If you are new to joining us for events and you are a solo event person, like you're coming alone, don't feel weird. Just come. Everybody who comes out to these events are absolutely amazing human beings. They will welcome you in with open arms. You will meet new friends, and it'll be a blast. I promise you. So don't be worried.
Yeah, be like me in college. Go out alone.
Jesus Christ.
He is in mid-season form today, ladies. and
Anyway,
gentlemen.
Ryan Dunn's going to shoot 72% from 3 this year, so we love that.
It should have been 200, you lazy people. Come on, hit the like button.
Okay, thanks all for joining us. We appreciate you. Don't forget to follow the show on social at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. Richard sent us another super chat, so pause. Thank you, Richard. They said the Cardinals beat all the California teams so far.
We love that.
Yes.
Beat LA.
Heyo. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate you. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. And you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Basketball's back, baby. Suns are back tomorrow. All is right with the world. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.